"You can't put those shiny things on your roof. They're ugly, and I'll have the HOA shut you down." That was the very first thing. Karen yelled at me the morning my solar panels were being installed. I hadn't even had a chance to sip my coffee when she stormed over, arms flailing, face red, like I'd committed some unspeakable crime. Except my crime wasn't vandalism, noise complaints, or trash in the yard. It was simply wanting clean, renewable energy on my own property. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood where most people mind their business. We wave, nod, and go about our lives. But Karen, she thrives on confrontation. If a dog barks too loudly, she's at your door. If you park slightly over the line, she's snapping photos. And now, she had a brand new mission: my solar panels. The funny thing is, I wasn't even planning on telling anyone. I just saved up, did my research, and thought, why not cut my bills in half and help the environment? But of course, nothing escapes Karen's radar. The moment she saw the workers unloading the panels, she rushed over, shouting about property values and community standards. She waved her phone around, threatening to call the HOA president. The workers glanced at me nervously, unsure if they should continue. "Ma'am," I said calmly, "these are perfectly legal. I've already checked the state guidelines." But Karen wasn't listening. She jabbed her finger toward my house. "I'll have you fined. Nobody wants to see your tacky science project from their kitchen window." I could have argued back. But deep down, I knew something. Karen didn't. Our state had just passed strong, renewable energy protection laws. In fact, the Department of Energy had been encouraging homeowners to install solar. Not only was I within my rights, but I was about to become a glowing example of compliance with state initiatives. Still, Karen didn't stop. By that afternoon, she had filed a formal complaint with the HOA, demanding my panels be removed. She even started a petition, knocking on doors, whispering nonsense about radiation leaks and blinding reflections. The tension in the neighborhood was rising, and I knew this wasn't just going to blow over. Karen had declared war on my solar panels. But what she didn't realize was that this battle would soon reach the State Energy Department itself, and they weren't just going to shut her down. They were going to praise me. And that's when things took an unforgettable turn. Karen wasted no time turning my solar panels into her personal crusade. By the next morning, she had printed flyers claiming my house would destroy the neighborhood's image. She stuck them on mailboxes, pinned them to the community board, and even slid one under my front door. The headline read, "Stop the panels! Protect our property values!" It was laughable, except people actually started whispering. At the mailbox, neighbors gave me polite but nervous smiles. At the grocery store, someone asked if the panels really gave off radiation. Karen's scare campaign was working, but I wasn't about to let her nonsense win. I had already spoken with the solar company, and they reassured me that our state had solar access rights. In plain English, that meant HOAs couldn't forbid panels just because they didn't like how they looked. The state wanted residents to adopt renewable energy, and laws were on my side. Still, Karen pressed harder. She showed up at the next HOA meeting, storming in with a binder full of printouts. "These panels will blind drivers. They'll kill our property values. And what about the noise?" she shouted. The room was tense. Some neighbors nodded. Others rolled their eyes. I calmly stood up when it was my turn. Solar panels don't make noise. They don't reflect light like mirrors. And according to the state, they increase home values by lowering utility costs. Karen scoffed. "That's what Big Solar wants you to believe." I thought that would be the end of it. But Karen doubled down. She emailed the HOA president daily. She filed a complaint with the city zoning office. She even left a handwritten note on my door that read, "This isn't over." And then, one morning, it escalated. A white sedan pulled up to my driveway, and two men in suits stepped out. Karen was right behind them, smirking like she'd just won the lottery. "These are officials from the State Energy Department," she announced proudly, as if she had personally summoned them to bring justice to the neighborhood. I'll admit, even I felt a knot in my stomach. Had I overlooked something? Was there some obscure rule Karen had dug up that could actually stop my solar project? The men greeted me politely. "Sir, we've received a community complaint about your solar panels," one said. Karen crossed her arms, practically glowing with satisfaction. Finally. Shut this nonsense down. But what happened next would wipe that smug smile off her face in the most spectacular way possible. The two officials from the State Energy Department adjusted their badges and gave Karen a courteous nod before turning to me. "We'd like to take a look at your installation, sir," one of them said. Karen nearly rubbed her hands together in excitement. "Yes, yes. Please tell him this is a violation. I've been trying to protect our neighborhood. And finally, someone is listening." I invited them to the backyard, where the panels gleamed under the morning sun. The workers had finished just a day earlier, and everything looked flawless. The officials examined the panels carefully, checking wiring, angles, and permits. Karen hovered behind them like a vulture, waiting for her victory. She muttered, "Eyesore. Dangerous. Tacky," under her breath. Finally, one of the inspectors straightened up and said, "Well, everything here looks excellent. Proper installation, permits in order, state standards fully met." Karen's jaw dropped. "What? That can't be right. Aren't you going to make him take them down?" The second official shook his head firmly. "Actually, Mrs. Karen, is it? These panels are exactly what the state is encouraging. In fact, we've been working to expand renewable energy adoption, and this homeowner has set an example others should follow." For the first time in all the years I'd known her, Karen was speechless. She sputtered, But the glare! The property values! The neighborhood standards!" The official raised a hand. Solar panels are protected under state law. HOAs cannot ban them for aesthetic reasons. In fact, studies show they often increase property values. And as for glare, ma'am, these panels are engineered with anti-reflective coatings. They produce less reflection than a car windshield. I couldn't resist smiling. "Seems like the only thing reflecting badly here is your attitude, Karen." The officials chuckled. Karen's face turned redder than a stop sign. She opened her mouth to argue again. But the lead inspector continued, "We're actually going to feature this installation in our upcoming homeowner's guide. It's a textbook example of compliance and efficiency." Karen nearly fell over. "You're praising him?" "Yes," the inspector replied flatly. "We wish more residents would do the same." He handed me a card. "If you're open to it, sir, we'd like to highlight your project on our website." I thanked them, grinning ear to ear. Karen stormed off in a huff, muttering about conspiracies and corrupt officials. But I knew this wasn't over. Karen had just been publicly embarrassed, and if I knew anything about her, it was this. She never gave up after losing a battle. After the energy department left, you'd think Karen would finally back off. Most people, after being corrected by state officials, would accept defeat gracefully. But Karen wasn't most people. Instead of admitting she was wrong, she doubled down. That evening, I spotted her pacing in her yard, furiously typing on her phone. The next day, a Facebook group popped up. "Save our neighborhood from solar." "Pollution." She plastered it with dramatic photos of my roof, taken at weird angles to make the panels look menacing, and captioned them with words like dangerous, toxic, and community threat. At first, a few of her friends chimed in with supportive comments. But then something unexpected happened. Other neighbors started fact-checking her. People posted links showing solar panels were safe, efficient, and actually raised home values. One neighbor even wrote, "Karen, stop. If anything, we're proud to have an eco-friendly house in the neighborhood." Her campaign was collapsing in real time. And then, the final blow arrived. The State Energy Department published a feature on their official website, complete with photos of my house and a headline that read, "Local homeowner leads the way in clean energy success." They praised the installation as a model for others, and even mentioned that I had reduced my carbon footprint significantly. Within hours, the story spread to local news outlets. Reporters showed up at my driveway asking for interviews. Karen couldn't stand it. While I was giving an interview on my front lawn, she barged over shouting, "Don't listen to him! It's propaganda!" The cameras caught every second. Her red face, her wild gestures, her rant about government conspiracies. The clip went viral. Instead of looking like a community hero, Karen became the punchline of internet jokes. Memes popped up overnight. Her yelling at the panels, me smiling next to them, and captions like, "Karen versus the sun." By the following week, Karen stopped her crusade completely. The HOA president quietly told me she'd been warned to back off or face fines for harassment. For once, she retreated into silence. As for me, my utility bills dropped, my home value increased, and every time I look at those sleek panels on my roof, I don't just see clean energy, I see the symbol of a battle I won against relentless pettiness. Karen tried to ban my solar panels. Instead, she ended up giving me statewide recognition, lower bills, and a story my neighbors, and now the internet, will never forget. Enjoying this wild showdown between Karen and my solar panels? Tap that subscribe button for more real-life neighbor stories with surprising twists. If you like this one, give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments, do you think solar panels should be protected from HOA rules? Or should neighbors have a say?